Hello children, hope you all are well at home. I, Mrs. Anjali Singh, is back again with the second lesson of geography, that is population dynamics. So before I start the chapter, it is very important to understand the name of the lesson. Okay, so what is population? Population is the total number of persons living in an area or land. Okay, and the area can be a city, it can be a state or a country, right? And dynamics means changing, ever changing, actively changing. So what we are going to study in this chapter, population dynamic, means the number of people which are always changing, right? So the people are very important for a country to grow or develop. People are one of the resources of a country. All the economic activities in a country cannot be done without the population present there. So we can say that people are the creator, they are the producer, and they are the consumer. Right? Now, why the people are said to be the creator? Creator means to bring out something as a product from the earth, right? Then people are also referred as producers. Why? Producers means the people who manufacture the products or goods, right? And then afterwards, people are the consumers, means they become the buyers and consume the products. Okay, so without human resource, a country cannot progress. It is the ultimate resource. Okay, children, understood? Now we come to the first heading, that is distribution of population in the world. The way in which people are spread in the world across the earth is known as the pattern of population distribution, right? Now, this distribution of population is not evenly distributed everywhere on the surface, right? So, the distribution depends on the physical factors and non-physical factors. In physical factors, comes climate, soil means fertility of soil, topography means landform or relief, water supply, which is also very important, availability of mineral resources. So these are the factors which comes in the physical feature. Right now, if we take up the physical feature, topography. Topography is very much important because people always prefer to live on plains rather than mountains and plateaus. Understood? Because these areas are suitable for farming, manufacturing and other activities. Right? Now we know the plain of Ganga. Ganga plains are the most densely populated area, right, of our country, if we see, right? And then the mountain areas, if we talk about Himalayas and the other areas like Andes, Alps, right, they are sparsely populated, less population is found there, right? Then comes the climate, which affects the living of the people. People usually avoid which type of climates? Extreme climates, right? Extreme means very hot or very cold, like it happens in Sahara Desert, right? It happens in the polar regions of Russia, Canada and Antarctica. Then comes the soil in the physical factor. That soil also, provides suitable land for agriculture. Fertile plains such as Ganga and Brahmaputra in India, then Huanghe, Changjiang in China and Nile in Egypt are densely populated. Why? Because people are doing which occupation there? Yes, farming. Then water is also very important. People prefer to live in the areas where fresh water is easily available, right? The river valleys of world are densely populated. Minerals, of course, right? We cannot leave minerals. Areas with mineral deposits are more populated, like diamond mines of South Africa, and discovery of soil in the Middle East led to the settling of people in these areas. So these all factors are coming in the physical part. Okay, then comes the non-physical factor, which is which covers the social areas, the cultural area and the economical area of the country. okay, of any region it can be. So what comes in social? Areas of better housing, education and health facilities are, the areas which are very much densely populated, like if we see in India, Pune, right? And which area? Chandigarh and Delhi. Why? Because they provide some better quality of housing and education and health facilities. That's the reason that people migrate towards these areas. Then comes cultural. Places with religion or cultural significance attract people. The people area which have number of temples, right, or a number of churches, right? So they attract the people, just like Varanasi in India, and Jerusalem and Vatican City are the other examples, right? Then comes economic. Economic means the area which deals with money and wealth. Industrial areas provide employment opportunities. Large number of people are attracted to these areas. Which areas? Industrial areas, right? Just like Osaka in Japan and Mumbai in India are too much, densely populated areas. Understood, children? Okay. Then comes according to the total number of population, countries of the world have been divided into three parts, right? Three main divisions are there. First is overpopulation, then underpopulation, and then comes optimum population, which is not there in the book, but you need to understand this term also. Now, what is overpopulation? The number of people, if the number of people, it is greater than the available resources, means there are more number of people and lesser available resources, then this sort of situation falls into the category of overpopulation. For example, India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, mostly the developing countries or underdeveloped countries comes in it, right? Now here the people are more than the available important resources, materials like transport, water, shelter, food or social amenities. Now these things are limited, but the people are more than this. So this situation contributes decline in the environment, right? It also worsens the quality of life. Understood? So it has some, negative impact. The result of overpopulation is that the people compete each other to use the available resource, right? Available resource which is limited, right? And those who, those who do not get success in competing, they leave, a very low standard life. Okay, so they live in, it is just like managing their lives. Okay, so what is the impact of overpopulation? Impact is that people faces some problems, just like unemployment, famine, less medical facility, less educational facilities and so on. Okay, then comes underpopulation. Here, if the number of people are lesser than the available resources, then this sort of situation is found there, underpopulation. For example, Australia and North Canada, right? Now, in this situation, the available resources are not utilized to its fullest. Why it is not utilized to its fullest? Because people are less, right? Underpopulated countries tend to encourage immigration, inflow of people from other countries to achieve economic potential. Many underpopulated countries have invited foreign companies to do economic activities because these countries have less population to support a large number of major corporations. If there are so many resources found there, so what is the work of that country? The country invites the people towards the land, and there the people can come from the other country and access the areas, right? Example, in Canada, 40% of businesses and economic activities are done by people of other countries. They are not the citizen of Canada, but they come from the other countries. They use the resource and land of Canada. They of course pay Canada, but they take away the profit to their country. So this situation, led to leads to large regional differences in wealth and development. Wherever the industries are pitched up, actually develops, right? The area gets developed because of the pitching of the industries, right? And there more number of people get settled. So the spread of population is uneven. Again, I'll say that some of the areas will be sparsely populated and some area will be having number of people because of the facility. People settled more and more where? In which area? In the favorable areas. Okay. So what is the impact of underpopulation? Production will be less, right? We are calling the countries, they call the people from other countries, but still if we talk about the people who are living there, they will produce less number of product, and whatever is produced will have high rates. It will be very costly. Then there will be lack of workers and laborers. It encourages outsider to live and to do job. Okay, then comes the third division, that is the optimum population, which is not there in the book. Right now, this is that situation where the number of people are equal to the available resources. It is the most favorable condition which develops the country. Here people get proper resources to satisfy their needs, and on the other side the resources will be properly utilized. For example, USA, England, Singapore and other developed countries. Okay. Now, as you can see in this pie diagram, the share of population of the 10 most populous countries of the world is shown. The share given in percentage, that the high ranking area is China and then comes India. Here you can see in percentage that the people are found too much. Okay, and then in another one, the bar diagram which is shown there, again the population is shown here in millions, right? And here you can see that China is leading, then comes India according to the population, and then so on it goes on as we move upward till we reach Japan. And as we see, as we are more interested about our country India, definitely in coming years we are going to exceed China in population. Okay. Now comes the distribution of population according to the density, right? So we are going to study about, three areas, areas of low density, areas of moderate density and areas of high density. Okay. Now in this distribution of population according to the density, now what does this word density mean? What is density? Number of persons living per unit of land is called density of population. Means per square kilometer, how many people are living there. As I told that the population of the world is not evenly distributed. Somewhere people are found in great number and somewhere the areas are sparsely populated. The estimated global population in the year 2017 was 7.5 billion. So the number of people everywhere is not the same. Some countries have high density of population, whereas some have low density of population. Okay, children. Now comes the areas of low density. The areas having a population density of 1 to 2 persons per square kilometer. How many? 1 to 2 persons. You can underline it in your book. 1 to 2 persons per square kilometer are known as areas of low density. These include hot deserts like Sahara, Kalahari, Atacama and cold deserts like some of the parts of Canada, Greenland, Antarctic, and Gobi Desert, you know. Then comes some of the basins, Amazon Basin of South America and Congo Basin of Africa, which is, you know, covered, these basins are covered by dense forest, and which is not good for the people to survive there. So these are low density areas, right? So these areas have high temperature, high humidity and very dense forest. So the density of population in these areas is very, very low. Now comes the second one, that is areas of moderate density. Areas having a population density below 200 persons per square kilometer. Underline in your book, 200 persons per square kilometer. Below, underline below. They, you know, these areas are known as the areas of moderate density. We are studying about the moderate density, and the regions which are coming in it are South India, western part of China, Denmark, Norway, western parts of USA. These countries have moderate density of population, right? Because the number of people, how many number of people are there? 200, but below 200 in per square kilometer. Understood? Then comes the third one, that is areas of high density. Areas having a density above. Okay, in the previous one, did you underline below? Now this is above 200 persons per square kilometers, right? These areas are known as high density. It means too many people and the population is too much in this area. The main areas of high density are monsoon Asia, Europe. Monsoon Asia means the area which receives monsoon rainfall, and eastern parts of USA. The monsoon Asia includes, you know, some of the countries which are there in the book written, like China, India, Bangladesh, Singapore, Japan, Korea, okay, etc. Eastern coastal parts of USA and Canada also have very high density of population. Why? Because of the facilities found there. Okay, now the main areas of high population density, if we talk about in Europe, it extends from English Channel in west of Dnieper River, right, in the east. Now it extends from there, right, and it is a sort of a belt. So this full belt where lot of people are found, right, more and more area is populated. Now this belt is known as the population axis of Europe. Means there will be too much crowd of people there found. Okay, the main countries included in this belt. Now this belt includes number of countries which are Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and North France, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, Ukraine, Moscow, region of Russia, and the river valley and coastal plains of Russia, Spain, Portugal, South France, and Italy. Now this belt of Europe has high density of population. That is why it is given the name what? The population axis of Europe. Now you need to learn the names of the regions which are coming in it. On the other hand, plains such as Ganga and Brahmaputra in India, Huanghe, Changjiang in China, and Nile in Egypt are densely populated. Why? Because you know very well that the civilization starts springing up near to the rivers, and the same thing is found. The scene is not changed. People are still living near to the rivers and the areas are densely populated. Now here you can see in the map that three of these density areas are given: high density, moderate, and low density, right? Now here, after seeing the area, you can make it out that these areas are giving lot of importance to the people to survive. That is the reason the green area is high density area, orange one is the moderate density area, and the low density area is white area which is sparsely populated. Okay, understood children? Now comes their picture which depends on the which is basically about the balance of population. Now you need to understand, this is the basic of population, that if the birth rate is more than death rate, right, means more children are born, right, and lesser deaths are there in that country, the population will definitely increase. Now here you can see the arrow which is moving upside. It means what is moving up? The birth rate. The population is increasing. Understood? Now in the second picture, if you see that in the second picture, if the birth rate and death rate, both the things are same, right, population stays the same, right, children are born, okay, and on the other side the death rate is also the same. It means there is no health facilities and children dies on the other side, so it becomes constant. Okay, and in the third one, when the death rate is more than the birth rate, it means children are dying more. Okay, and on the other side, if the babies are born and if they are not getting any sort of facilities, they die. In that case the population decreases. And here you can see that the blue arrow is coming down, so upward and remaining constant, and then coming down is the basic of population, which depends on this natural growth, that is birth rate and the death rate. Understood, children? Okay, now we come to the impact of overpopulation. Okay, now we are going to cover number of headings in it. First is the depletion of natural resources. Depletion means too much exploitation, or natural resources are accessed. Okay, so depletion is that situation. The effect of overpopulation are quite severe. What is severe? Overpopulation. Okay, the first of these is the depletion of the resources will get exploited, and on the other side it will start declining. The earth can only produce a limited amount of water, of course, and limited amount of food, which is falling short, right, falling short of the growing population. Understood, children? So and another thing, that people use more and more of the resources. They cut down the forest, hunting wildlife in a reckless manner. They cause pollution and create a host of problems. Okay, so this is the scene of the depletion of natural resources. Understood, children? And then the people who are engaged in these resources, using too much, doing too much exploitation, people talk about this sort of situation, that it is an act of violence and aggression outside of a war zone. Now we know that if the battle is fought in a battlefield, their goal is to just move on and fight. But here the same battlefield is found where the people are trying to go forward. The people are trying to compete each other, right? Now this sort of situation takes place in the real life. Okay, then comes degradation of environment. Now with the overuse of coal, oil and natural gas, our environment is getting seriously affected. Rise in the number of vehicles on the road, and industries have badly affected the quality of air, isn't it? Rises rises up? Carbon dioxide, because more and more emission of carbon dioxide is done through the vehicles and from the industries, right? And it leads to global warming. So one thing is connected to the another thing, right? Then melting of polar ice caps, changing climate pattern, and rise in the sea level, right? Now the sea level is rising. Why it is rising? Because more and more ice covered mountains are getting melted, right? Changing weather is also experienced. Then comes rise of unemployment, which is really a big problem. So when a country becomes overpopulated, what we are studying about? The impact of overpopulation. So when a country becomes overpopulated, it gives rise to unemployment. Right, as there are fewer jobs to support large number of people. So this is really seen in our country. For one place, for one seat, thousands of people, they fill the form, right, just to get that place. So rise in unemployment gives rise to crime. Now those people who do not get the job, they also goes in depression, right, they do crime. And people, these type of people, they steal and they kill people just to manage their life, to manage their families too. So these of the things are experienced in many of the areas. Now comes impact of underpopulation. Now underpopulation leads to something else, that is lower standard of living, right, lower standard of living. Lower standard means reduced living as a result of inadequate labor force, because in underpopulated areas, the areas which are less populated, there the labor force is also less, right? And if the labor force is less, so less resources will be used, right? So lack of adequate manpower under this population results in shortage of labor, right? And it affects the investment and income of the country. Then comes underutilization of resources. Resources are highly underutilized in a country with low population. As I gave you the example of the northern side of Canada, that the area actually invites the people to come and start using the resources of their country. Then lack of people to defend the country. At times of war and emergency, a country might find it difficult to mobilize enough people to defend it. Now this is also another situation, that to defend a country, this is the priority of the country, to have more and more good soldiers and to have a very strong military, right? If the people are less, what will happen? It will not have number of people to defend the country. Understood, children? Okay. Now let us move to another heading, that is factors affecting the population of a place. Now the world population has not been stable. That is why we are studying population dynamics. Dynamics means increasing, ever changing, right? It has increased manifold. Manifold means multiplied. Earlier it wasn't like this, but nowadays you can see a great change. The population depends on the changes in the number of births and deaths. Okay, as I told you, I explained you the picture that this is the natural growth, right? And what are the factors which affects the natural growth? Births, deaths, and of course the migration. If we see the population in the year 1800s, okay, now let us go back. Okay, in 1800s it was growing slowly and steadily, right? Large number of babies were born, families were having many children, but they were dying on the other side because there were less health facilities. No vaccinations were developed for the prevention from deadly and infectious diseases. So as on one side the babies were born, on the other side the babies were dying also. Proper amount of food and basic amenities. What comes in basic amenities? House, medical help, education, food. These things were not available for all the people. So overall, the total increase in population was low. How it was low? As large number of babies were born, it was low because babies were dying on the other side. Understood, children? But in 1820, after 20 years, right, the population reached 1 billion. Okay, how much? 1 billion. And in 1870, it reached to 3 billion. This is often called population explosion when a time comes when people start, the number of people start growing, right? Start multiplying. In 2010, right? In less than maybe 45 years, it was almost double. That is 6 billion. And in 2020, approximately the population is 8 billion, right? So it is increasing day by day. Now, why there is growth in population? Okay, again try to bring those three pictures which I just now showed you, that how the population increases, how it becomes constant, and how it decreases, right? So what is the thing now, why there is growth in population as the years are passing by? It is because of some factors, some features, we could say. Better food supplies, people are getting good food, enough, okay, sufficient. Then availability of health facilities. Now number of vaccines are introduced, and children from the very small age, as they are born, they get vaccinated, so there are lesser deaths, okay. Cheap goods due to industrialization. Now the country is developing and pitching number of industries and factories just to develop economically, right? So if the industries will be in proper number, right, then the products will be cheap. Understood? Okay. Now, what are the main factors which are responsible for population change? Population change, population growth, sometime less, sometime constant, and sometime it doesn't, grow. This is a population change. The factors are which actually change the population is the birth rate, death rate, and migration. Birth rate. What is birth rate? The number of live births per 1,000 people. 1,000 people. The babies are born in 1,000 people, right? This is known as birth rate. Then death rate, the number of deaths per 1,000 people. Understood? Then comes migration. Maybe this is the first time you are listening this word. So migration means the movement of people inside or outside the area also affects the population change. So what are the three factors which affects the population growth, or you can say population gets changed? First is birth rate, death rate, and migration. Migration as a factor of population change. Migration is another way by which the size of the population changes. Size, okay? Earlier it was small, then it became a little bit bulky, right? And then again it started shrinking. What is that? Migration. It is broadly classified as, in two parts, international migration and internal migration, right? So what is international migration? It is the movement of people from one country to another across the international borders. International borders. If we talk about India, it means not inside India but outside the borders in other countries. Countries like Australia, US, Canada, etc. have gained population as immigrants. Now, these countries are developing, and these countries are already developed. They are falling into the category of developed countries. So they attracts the people, right? And more population is gathered there as immigrants. People moving from the other country towards Australia, US, Canada will be immigrants. So who are immigrants? Those who move towards these developed areas. So these developed areas have more and more immigrants. When the people move from one place to another, that is because of better prospects, as on the other side, some countries like Sudan, like India, Sri Lanka, they are experiencing a loss of population. That is what I want to explain you that the another term which comes for this is emigrant. Now the first one started with I-double-M-I. It is starting with E-double-M-I. Emigrants means the people who, some countries like Sudan, India, Sri Lanka, they experience the loss of population due to immigration. People move from these countries to the other countries, so they are known as emigrants, means the people who have left their countries. Okay, understood? Now this migration happens from less developed countries to the more developed countries in search of better employment opportunities and high standard of living, and everyone wants a good life. Understood? Okay, now comes internal migration. If the movement from one region to another region within or inside the country takes place, it is known as internal migration, right? For example, within the borders, right? For example, if I move from Uttar Pradesh to Madhya Pradesh, right? Someone moves from Kerala to Tamil Nadu. This is internal movement. Just now what we did? International movement, which was taking place beyond the borders, right? Now lesser people were actually showing it in the countries, that scale that the people are lesser because they are migrating themselves to the other places, right? So at that moment the population was shrinking. It was coming down. The graph was coming down. Right? And on the other side, if we talk about internal migration, the graph will not come down. In this situation, the size of the population will be the same. It will be the same. Why? Because people are moving inside the country. Inside the country. And if the census are taken, what do you mean by census? Census is what? The counting of the people, or the official enumeration, counting of population along with certain economic and social statistics. They ask many things. People come in home at the time when census are taken. They talk about the people who are working, the people who are dependent, means the small children or the old people, how many people are there. When it is done? After every 10 years. Okay, so in this situation the size of the population will be the same because people are moving not beyond the borders but within the borders. People move from rural to urban in search of employment. Of course, we know for better prospect people move inside the country only. Okay, now comes the composition of population. Okay, let me explain you this map also. This is according to the natural increase. Natural increase means if we take if we see the death rate, if we see the birth rate as well as the migration. Now these areas are according to the natural increase. Means what? After seeing that how many what is the birth rate, what is the death rate, and what is how many people are migrating to the other areas, these countries are shown according to that rating, right? So very high population is found where this natural increase is found, where the blue part is shown, right? And as we go down, the colors are also becoming lighter. Understood, children? Okay, now comes population composition or composition of population. Now rate of population growth is not equal throughout the world, as I have told you that people are not evenly distributed. So it can be rightly said that world's total population is growing rapidly. What is growing rapidly? World's total population is growing rapidly, but all the countries are not experiencing this growth. Some countries like Kenya have high population, they have high population growth rates. How come? These, there are number of children born, there are, if we talk about the birth rate and death rate, both the features are high, right? The birth rate and death rates are high. But now with improved health, facilities or health care, the death rates have fallen down. Now children are not dying. Why? Because of the health care, the vaccinations introduced there. Okay, so what is falling down? The death rate. Okay, but on the other side, the birth rates remain the same. Remain the same. Number of children are born, it means the same number. Maybe it will increase, but lesser children will die. Now, this situation will lead the country to have high growth rates of population. But if we compare the example of Kenya with UK, developed country, the population growth is slow because of low death and low birth rates. Okay, so children are born less. Okay, and on the other side, with high and new modernized techniques given to the babies who are born, children are not dying. So less births and less death rates. Understood, children? Now composition, what does this word mean? Composition means mixture of many features. So composition of population comprises with religious or cultural origin, races, tribes, language, literacy, education, age, sex, economically active population means working or earning people, etc. So this is the mixture of so many features. What is the mixture? Composition. Right? So by studying all the features of composition, it greatly helps us to understand it helps us in understanding the social, economic and demographic structure. Social means classes of people according to the standard of living, the income which they are getting, right? And economic means working and non-working people. Are they engaged in any activity? Are they, getting salaries, or they are sitting and sitting at home, or they are dependent on the other members? Then comes the demographic structure. It means counting of the people living in a town or in a nation, or it can be anywhere, right? So number of males and females, their age groups, number of educated people and their occupation, their income level and health condition comes in this composition. Okay, a very interesting way to study this composition is population pyramid. Okay, it is also called an age sex pyramid. Here you can see on the screen, it is the shape of a pyramid. Okay, now what does this pyramid show? Right? Total population divided into various age groups. Now here you can see on the left side that age groups according to the years they have given, isn't it? Like 5 to 9 years, 10 to 14 years and so on. So this is first of the feature, that it is divided according to the age groups. Right? Then the percentage of total population is on the other side. Total population. How many people are there? Number of people present in that area, but divided into males and females in each group. Okay. It means from 0 to 4, how many males are there and how many females are found there. How many are girls and how many are boys. This population pyramid can be shown by a graphical illustration of a country or region of the world which forms the shape of a pyramid. Now here the x-axis, right, and y-axis are shown, which I have explained you that y-axis is the vertical line, okay, and which tells about the age group, and x-axis is the percentage which is horizontally drawn, which consists of two back-to-back bar graph shown with different colors indicating number of males and females. Okay. Okay. Now males are shown on the left side and right side females are shown. Okay. Now this age pyramid explains or reveals us the number of children below. Now you can see the categories there. Okay. Below 4 years, 9 years, 15 years, and so on. Okay, and how many are males and how many are females? It shows about the aged people also, the people who are above 60, dependent people, old people. It also tells us how much of population is dependent, like old people are dependent in the family, as well as the small children are also dependent on the family. Okay. Now let us study the population pyramid of Kenya. Now what is the situation found there? The population pyramid of a country in which birth and death rates both are high is broad at the base. Now here you can see the base is broad. Why it is broad? Because birth of, number of birth means the children who are born, and the death rate, both are high, right? So the base is broad and it narrows rapidly, it is not slowly narrowing, it is rapidly. You can see the curve in the middle, isn't it? Can you see the curve? Yes. So this curve, as we move up, is narrowing down. This is because although many children are born, a large percentage of them die in their infancy, in their childhood, right? Relatively few become adults. This is the way that the middle part of the pyramid is having a curve which is going inside the middle line, coming closer to the middle line. Okay, relatively few become adults, and there are very few old people reaching to the age of 75 plus. This situation is typified by the population pyramid of Kenya, as you can see, isn't it? Understood? What is the base? Flat base. And what is the balance? Birth and death rate are high, and there is a curve in the middle as we go up, right? A sharp curve, but it moves narrow as we move up. Okay. Then comes another one, that is the population pyramid of India. Now what is the situation found here? Now in countries, not only in India, there are other countries too, they also have the same sort of pyramid. In countries where death rate, okay, is less. Death rate means especially amongst the young class, young children, right, growing children, is less than the birth rate. The pyramid is broad. So what is less? The death rate, right? And where the death rate is less? Where? In the middle part. Middle part means from 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, 30 to 34. Here young generation is found. Okay, so here the death is less than the birth rate. The pyramid is broad in the younger age. Now here you can see as we move up, the movement of the pyramid is not narrowing so much. It is not having that sort of curve which Kenya has, isn't it? So it is broadened from the middle also, right? So this sort of thing can be seen in India. This can be seen in the pyramid of India. Such population contains a relatively large number of young people. We can see that there are large number of young people, and this means a strong and expanding labor force. Understood? Now comes the third one. Third one is the population pyramid of Japan. Now in countries where birth rate is low, right? Birth rate is low, the pyramid will be narrow at the base. Birth rate is low, they have control on the birth rates, right? So here you can see that the base is not so much, broadened. It is not so much broad, right? It is narrow at the base. For example, why it is like that? Low birth rates make the pyramid of the Japan narrow at the base. Okay. Decreased death rates allow the number of people to reach to old age. Now you can see it is, not so much narrowing down as we are moving upside, isn't it? It starts with a narrow base, then death rates are less. So children are, experiencing the young age, they are changing into adults, and they are the one who are living old life, comfortably. Are you getting my point? So decreased death rate allows number of people to reach to the old age. You can see here 85 plus. Now skilled, spirited and hopeful young people endowed with a positive outlook are the future of any nation. Now we in India are fortunate to have such a resource. We have been blessed, we have been gifted by God so nicely with the natural resources, isn't it? So what we have to do, we have to access it, we have to use it, and not that sort of exploitation should be done, because we have to use it and we have to leave it for the generation to come. Okay, now comes the last heading, that is rural and urban population. Now today 55% of the world's population live in urban areas. Lesser people are in the rural areas. Only who are stuck with their old occupation, they are living there. But more and more, 55% they have written that world's population live in urban area, is expected to increase in 68% by 2050. So 2050 will have more. It means from 55 to 68. This is the prox. This is not the right. It may be more than this in 2050. Okay. So projections shows that urbanization means growth of the world population could add another 2.5 billion people to urban areas. Understood? So this increase takes place in Asia and Africa. We are talking about region wise. Okay, Asia and Africa, according to a new United Nations report, that these areas will have more and more urbanized areas. There will be more towns and cities and metropolitan cities and highly modernized areas. Okay, so Asia, despite its relatively lower level of urbanization, not that much, little bit lower, is home to 54% of the world's urban population, right? Followed by Europe and Africa. So what is leading? Asia, followed by Europe and Africa with 13% each. Today the most urbanized regions included North America, Latin America with the Caribbean, and Europe, and of course Oceania. Now this I was talking according to the region wise. Now comes city wise. Tokyo is the world's largest city, right? With an, you can say, with an agglomeration, what is that? Collection of 37 million inhabitants, right? Followed by New Delhi. So first place is of Tokyo, then it is followed New Delhi with 29 millions. Then Shanghai with 26 million. Then comes Mexico City, Sao Paulo, and each with around 22 million inhabitants. So what is leading? Which city is leading? Tokyo. Okay. Followed by New Delhi and so on. Today Cairo, Mumbai, Beijing and Dhaka all have close to 20 million inhabitants. Okay. So it is estimated that by 2020 Tokyo's population, will project a little bit of decline, right? While Delhi will start growing. Maybe it will cross the population of Tokyo. Understood? And by 2030 the world is projected to have 43 mega cities with more than 10 million inhabitants. It means more and more people will move towards the cities, right? Why? For better facilities, for better prospects. So as the world continues to urbanize, all the areas are getting urbanized, The development depends increasingly on the successful management. Now it depends on the country how to manage these cities and towns and mega cities, right? Especially in low income and lower middle income countries, where the pace of urbanization is projected to be the fastest in the low and poor countries with less amenities given, right? So they have to manage a lot in this field. Many countries will face challenges like meeting the needs of their growing urban population, because if the population will grow too much in the urban areas, that will also create a disbalance, right? Which type of problems will be faced by the people, including they will not get proper housing, they will not get proper transportation, right? Energy system will be damaged, and other infrastructure as well as employment will get affected. Okay, and when employment will get affected, many people will go into depression, that is for sure, right? And the basic services like education and healthcare will also get affected. And this is the thing, that as the countries are developing their urbanized areas, as they are in the countries, if the villages are changing into cities and metro cities, so they have this sense in their mind to manage how to keep so much people in the cities. Now children, here I come to the end of the chapter. I hope everything is very clear. And the thing is this, that you need to read the chapter, otherwise you won't be able to understand, right? So keep on underlining the important lines as I've told you, okay? And just listen to the video number of times, then only you will be able to understand, okay? And very soon I'll be sending the question answers and exercises to you, okay children? So God bless you, take care, and thank you children.